Welcome to the show today. We have information that Epstein developed a back channel with the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin. Trump officially designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. And we have a fascinating investigative piece from Prism on India's largest nationalist organization and more. Additional emails came out and it showed that Epstein offered insight on Trump to Kremlin contacts, including Vladimir Putin. Now, these emails came from 20,000 documents that were reviewed by Congress in the Oversight Committee. And it said that Epstein reached out to the ex-Council of Europe to pass messages off to Moscow. Epstein claimed that the Russians understood Trump after prior talks. He suggested that Trump must be seen to get something from Putin. This is how Trump always acts. He needs a public win so the summit wouldn't make him look weak as a leader. He cared about optics and how he looked more so than policy. He always needs a headline. Putin agrees to X for Trump. It shows Trump's desperate for validation and that he's easily manipulated by foreign actors, which is a national security threat. It also shows that Trump is managed through flattery and staged wins. Now, this all happened before Trump's 2018 Helsinki summit. And Helsinki was widely seen as Trump's big coming out party and siding with Putin. The White House has totally dismissed these emails as meaningless, of course, as they always do. But Epstein also emailed claims that Trump knew about these girls in his orbit. These revelations highlight Epstein's larger intelligence and political ties. First off, Epstein had a back channel to Putin. He's way more powerful than we even know, or was more powerful than we even know. It suggests also that, as we know, Trump is very vulnerable to foreign influence. All it takes is some flattery, and anyone can get what they want from Donald Trump. Epstein acting as a Kremlin go-between is also a huge red flag, and it really adds context to Trump's pro-Putin Helsinki behavior. And it shows why leftists really need to push for strict foreign influence rules. And the GOP is brushing this off. And it shows their double standard on security. They claim to be the party of law and order, that they need security internationally. But when it comes to Trump, they don't care about him as a national security threat. It just shows how the elites like Epstein have quietly shaped global politics over the years and decades. And it's further evidence that Trump's inner circle was really penetrable by foreign actors. And it undercuts the GOP claims that Biden is the one that's compromised. Trump is the one that is directly compromised. Now, Trump just designated 4 Antifa groups as foreign terrorist organizations. This is the first time this foreign terrorist organization label has been placed on groups that are associated with Antifa. Until now, the government only considered Antifa a domestic extremist movement. The problem with this is really that it gives the federal government greater powers so they can implement financial sanctions, immigration bans, criminal penalties, all with organizations that they deem to be Antifa. Now, there's also claims that came out that Antifa has international ties to anarchist networks in the EU, and there is absolutely no evidence for this at the moment. This is really 100% politically motivated with the 2026 election cycle that's coming up. And various civil liberty groups warned that this is going to be used to criminalize dissent and protests. It really just opens the can for Trump to prosecute anybody he wants under the label of a terrorist. And it makes no sense because Antifa is not a centralized organization. It's more so a decentralized movement. This is going to bring on more than just surveillance. It's going to bring on the seizure of financial assets, and it's really going to expand even more so the 9/11 counterterrorism powers. Now, this is a complete and utter authoritarian escalation. It's using national security tools against domestic political opponents. It's an attempt to chill protest and justify surveillance of any sort of left-wing activist groups. And the claims of the EU having foreign control makes this completely suspect. There is no evidence for that. It's really Trump's equation of anti-fascism to leftist terrorism. How about the white nationalists and neo-Nazi groups that actually have foreign ties? I mean, it's peak hypocrisy. I mean, you have the Proud Boys, who have not been deemed a foreign terrorist organization despite documented violence and global coordination. This is totally similar to ICE and immigrants. The label could enable arrests or financial seizures without due process, which is exactly what legal and undocumented immigrants are getting right now. They're being snatched in unmarked vans by police in ski masks who may or may not even be police. This will also be a way to intimidate journalists and protesters who engage in these leftist movements. It's really just subjective power for whoever controls the White House. They can deem any group as foreign influenced. There's really no definition around this. The left really needs to push for stronger legal guardrails to prevent any sort of future abuse of terrorism designations as an end for political means for whoever's in the White House. There was a fantastic report by Prism that came out. Prism's a independent and nonprofit newsroom. Their investigation revealed that the RSS, which is India's largest Hindu nationalist organization, has actually been lobbying here in the US. The RSS is widely recognized as a far-right group and really the ideological parent of India's ruling BJP party. The report claims that the RSS initiated a well-funding lobbying campaign earlier in 2025. The lobbying reportedly targeted U.S. policymakers and institutions. Now, it's not yet clear which policymakers or which institutions. And the RSS did not register as a foreign principal, which violates U.S. disclosure laws. And this registration is required under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. The investigation found that there was evidence of U.S.-based intermediaries with ties to this RSS activity. And the funding sources were either obscured or just completely misrepresented. The effort appears aimed at improving the RSS and Modi's government image inside the United States. The finding obviously raises legal and ethical questions about foreign influence operations, and this really underscores the urgent need for stronger enforcement of FARA and transparency laws. Foreign far-right movements see basically the MAGA era as fertile ground for influence within U.S. politics. They see it kind of as a way in and a way to manipulate U.S. politics. Democrats should 100% demand a DOJ investigation into whether this violates the FARA statutes, which it seems like it does. And it's totally alarming that extremist movements abroad are aligning with U.S. right-wing networks. It shows that the entire right wing right now is 100% compromised. Now, in India, the RSS has a documented history of anti-Muslim violence and complete and utter authoritarian ideology, no sort of democratic values whatsoever. And the Republican silence on this issue, it speaks loud. It speaks volumes about their comfort with far-right global alliances. The Democrats, if they ever bring this topic up under the leadership of Chuck Schumer, who knows? But Democrats really need to frame this as part of a larger fight against authoritarianism and foreign dark money. This also calls for scrutiny of think tanks and advocacy groups that are quietly amplifying these RSS-linked narratives. defending democracy now means confronting not just domestic threats here, but global networks of extremism that can influence the United States. The US DOJ has filed a lawsuit against California over its new redistricting maps. It claims that the maps violate the Voting Rights Act by diluting Latinos' voting power. The case focuses on Central Valley and Southern Cal districts. And federal officials are arguing that the state's commission failed to create sufficient Latino majority districts, and state officials in California have defended the maps as fair and compliant with the law. There was a ballot initiative and voters voted for this, so that's part of the argument. But the suit could have major implications for the 2026 elections and House balance. Republicans will almost 100% likely weaponize this as proof that Democrats rig maps too. It's sort of a whataboutism and a false equivalency. The real hypocrisy lies in the DOJ not filing similar suits against Texas or Florida or Ohio, where GOP maps are just overtly discriminatory. Those states have far more egregious racial gerrymanders, yet federal enforcement has been completely hesitant there. Democrats should call this out for what it is. It's a double standard, and protecting Latino voters must apply everywhere. Check out Stephen Miller's deranged rant on Trump's supposed investment in America.
Think about the contrast, Sean. President Trump bringing trillions of investment into America, giving Americans trillions of dollars in tax cuts. And what do Democrats do in their big moment? They steal hardworking money from our taxpayers, they cancel their flights, and they destroy billions of dollars in economic value. You will not see a clear contrast. The Democrats are the party of destruction. President Trump is leading the party of creation, opportunity, and wealth.
Are you...
The statement aims to reinforce Trump as some sort of builder of America and Democrats as wreckers. It's classic projection. Trump's team blaming Democrats for chaos while ignoring his own economic record and the chaos Trump brought on with blanket tariffs is astounding. And trillions in investments is absolutely absurd and obviously untrue. Trump's term saw major tax cuts and stagnant wage growth. Democrats have delivered actual infrastructure and manufacturing investments through Biden's Inflation Reduction Act and the CHIPS Act. And flights being canceled is a bizarre talking point. I don't even know where to start with that. Under Trump, the economy lost millions of jobs during COVID, while Biden saw consistent job growth since COVID. Now, calling Democrats the party of destruction is really just political branding meant to distract from the GOP's own destruction, deregulation, and corporate giveaways that are always the goal. Trump's party of creation often means enriching billionaires and polluters, not working families. And Miller's framing is really simply red meat to MAGA loyalists. Nobody really believes this except MAGA sycophants, and it's not any sort of an honest reflection of any sort of economic data. This statement underscores how Trump world relies on vibes and grievance politics, not any sort of factual, measurable results.